everybody. Well, today I want to talk about why I log with horses, but I'm not going to do it right here because it's too cold in this field and too windy. And so let's head to the woods and we'll talk about it up there. We have to leave the scoot here though because we're doing some work on that. So we'll just take the cart in the woods with us today.
So earlier this morning, Justin came to help me and we came down to take the bunk off the back bunk off our scoot. We've been having a lot of troubles with the pipe that holds the stakes have been pushed too far out, so the stakes don't stay straight. They flop around and hang away from the scoot, so I'm hitting trees with it as I'm going out of the woods. So we're going to take this bunk off and go take it over to Randy's and get some work done to that. So even though it's 10 o'clock in the morning, it's still pretty cold. It's about, I don't know, 7 or 8 degrees right now. A lot of times when it's cold like this, I will actually walk in and just help to keep me warm. So that's what I'm doing right now. Yesterday afternoon, I came in here with the blacks and I hauled a few loads out with the scoot. And I just wanted to show you what happens sometimes with the scoot. It slides down any place there's a downhill slope. So right here, you can see it's sliding down. And there's actually a stump right here that was a tree last year that I ended up finally having to cut because my scoot was sliding into it. So now I just have the stump, and it actually works good because it holds the runner in that spot. But there's a few other places where I have trees that I'm going to bring out some pieces of wood and lean against those trees to act as a bumper so I don't hit those trees when I start sliding. Here is part of a tree left over from a couple days ago. It seems like we've been getting a couple inches of snow almost every day now. It's really adding up.
Hey, hey, bah, 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 bah. Hey. Okay, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about why I log with horses. Been doing this for an awful long time. I grew up with horses, so ever since I was very young, I've had horses and I've been dealing with horses. I guess the main reason why I log with horses is because I can. It can be done, and that's one of the reasons why I'm putting these videos on. A lot of people don't realize that horses are actually feasible still in this day, but it can be done. There's a lot of different jobs that won't be quite suitable for horses, but there's still a lot of jobs that are very suitable for horses. A lot of people ask how much I can produce in a day, and of course that varies a lot, but just to give you a few figures as to one more reason as to why I log with horses and why it's practical. I would say on an average day, on an average lot, if there is such a thing, I would probably put out, working alone, about 2,000 to 2,500 feet a day. I have, I remember years ago cutting pine, and some big pine, and I actually put out 5,500 board feet in one day all alone. Well, usually when you talk to a logger, those are the days he talks about, you know, those days where they did so well. And guess I'm no different. That was probably my best day I've ever done. On this particular job, it is probably one of the hardest jobs because it's such a long ways in, and it's on a job that's portions of it are very, very wet, so it's been a difficult lot to get to. But I'm still doing okay, I guess, in here. I don't tally it up every day when I get out, but I still put out a fair amount. But I also remember years ago back logging in Vermont, and I had two guys working for me. They were both named John Wright. So I call one the old John, one the young John. And during that stretch of time when they both worked for me and we were cutting this one pine job, we were putting out 6,000 feet a day. Now that's pretty good for a pair of horses. There's actually 3 horses that we had. A team of horses that I used on the cart, the same cart that I'm still using today. And I had young John was running my skid horse, my single horse, and old John was running the chainsaw, and he did all the cutting. And I know he watches my videos, so hi John. So anyways, he would cut all the trees down, and most of the time we cut it into log lengths. Some of the top logs actually a lot of the top logs we would keep longer. Several logs to a hitch, but the single horse would skid it out, bunch it together, and then I would come in with the team, with the cart, and grab whatever I could go with easily and head it out to the landing. Then I'd cut them off to the landing, and the truck would come and pick them up, and we were putting out 6,000 feet a day. So I'd call that pretty good for a pair of horses, or a team of horses with a small crew. And financially, it was quite acceptable. I know today's world so much is all about the money, but when you come right down to it, that's really not the main reason at all why I log with horses. I log with horses because I really enjoy it. I've always enjoyed the horses, and I continue to. I just love the thrill of putting them into tight situations where it's difficult to get a log out and to have them successfully do it. I love to hitch onto a log or a tree that you shouldn't even expect a pair of horses to pull, and they just get right down and dig and pull it out of there all by themselves. And that just gives me quite a bit of joy to watch that and to be a part of that. So anyways, these are some of the reasons why I log with horses. I will probably think of some more as I'm making this video and tell them to you also. I feel like a bit of an idiot standing here in the woods wet in the boondocks. Fortunately no one else is around, and I'm talking into a camera. But anyways, that's just the way it is. So we'll get at logging here, and we'll see how our day progresses. I do want to take a few poles down to put in as what I call bumper trees, because my scoot has been sliding quite a bit on the downhill side, and it's causing potential trouble, so I want to fix that up a little bit. So maybe I can share a little bit of that with you all. So we'll get to work.
As you can see, there's quite a bit of snow in the woods, and most people don't realize how much it takes to back up a pair of horses with this cart when they've got a lot of snow on the ground. But if you don't have a good backing team, you're not going to be able to log very good in the wintertime, because it just takes a tremendous amount of strength to back this cart up in a lot of snow. And also, like I've said in other videos, when you're backing this cart up, so often the tires get stuck in a rut, and it's difficult to get it lined up just where you want it to be. So it takes a lot of jockeying around, and sometimes you just have to live with it, being close enough and hitch the chain on long and go from there. I would have loved to have put the cart over a little bit farther to my left, but I'm just not really getting there any closer. So I'll just have to hitch onto it here. It was laying tight to the ground, so I used my logging tongs so I didn't have to dig underneath the log to get a chain around. And then I will hitch to the left hand side of my cart. If I was to hitch to the right, it would flip that cart right over. But being on that left hand side, it tends to keep it where it belongs. It's still a risk, so you have to be very careful when you're pulling a tree like this. It's quite long and it's off centered, so. But I had no troubles, but I chose not to pull the whole tree out. It would have had to come around quite a corner. So I just decided I'd back up and get squared up where I wanted to be and get my chains tightened up, and then I would cut the tree in half. I forgot my tape measure this morning, so I just climbed up onto the log and measured it with my feet. It's not accurate, but it's close enough for today. So here I am coming back for the second half of that tree. I don't mind being a small hitch like this because it's just a short distance down to where the excavator is. And one thing when you're logging with horses, it's very important to teach your horses to be able to sidestep good, because a lot of times they're in really tight spots. And if they can sidestep, that makes a big difference as far as getting around. So what I'll do is I'll pull a hitch a ways out of the way just to be so the horses are safe, and I'll come back and cut the next tree. So here I am with a nice little cherry log, and I'm just getting the snow out from around the base of it. Should have a shovel here, but I just used my feet. But anyways, this is a cherry tree that not that big, but it's got a dead top on it, so it's definitely a tree that needs to go. So I'm looking closely to see how it wants to go and then how I want it to go. And I'm choosing to put it a little bit off to the side of where it wants to go. A lot of these trees that I'm cutting have some issues with them. There's things wrong with it. Like I've said in other videos, we're cutting it pretty heavy up here, and I think it's the wise thing to do. But as we're cutting this stuff, you will probably have seen already, a lot of it is stuff that's really poor quality stuff anyway, so it's just as well we get it out of here. The landowner had a forester mark all this, and so these are all marked trees that I'm cutting. They were marked and scaled by the forester, so I paid for it up front, and then I make whatever I make out of it. This little cherry tree will go down to my sawmill. My supply of cherry lumber is pretty low right now, so I will use this for in my own mill. Our prevailing wind is out of the southwest, so these trees are almost all leaning northeast. So I generally can just cut it right down and put it that way. But if I don't want to put it that way, or if there was some heavy branches so it goes the other way, sometimes it takes a bit of pounding on the wedge. And this particular tree was that situation. I had to pound that wedge just about completely all the way in before she finally went over.
Ha. 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 Oh.
Another reason why I just love logging with horses and why I do it is I get to enjoy the beautiful outdoors. This is just a beautiful day today. I just can't imagine working in an office all day. I'm very blessed. So here are my bumper trees that I'm going to be hitting at times if I don't do something. So I put these little pieces of wood next to them so the runners will hit it and not hit the tree. Got another one down here. Actually, it was a basswood that was split, so I actually was only half a tree, which worked great. I could just lay them against the trees, and hopefully that'll allow me to slide along with the runner. So here I'm coming out with a small hitch at the end of the day. Justin was able to run over and pick up the bunk from my scoot. That's all finished. So here it is, all finished up. I'm pretty pleased with it. The stakes can still come out of the pockets, and we put a plate on the bottom of them so that the bolt that holds them onto the runners are not in the stakes like they were before. They're just in the front, and I think that's going to work great. We'll find out tomorrow. Originally, this had wooden bunks, and that worked fine normally, but with handling with the machine, it's nice to have these steel bunks. At some point I'll have to do the same to the front bunks as I did to the back bunks.